there comes a time when we all think larger than ourselves. I know, we all, like we are here, we went to school with a number of people, communities, relatives, friends. And frankly, they all don't make it like we do. I know you are, because I've looked at the parking lot, the cars you drive. You're okay. But, have you ever asked why? Why you? That came to me 30 years ago. Something happened. I was born in Kampala. I'm a city boy. I sit down and say, yeah, in 1960s in Uganda there were cities, although we didn't have internet and Uber. I was born in Kampala, grew up in the city, went to university. In my early 20s, I left Uganda for further studies and went to Europe. I mostly lived in France and UK. I traveled Europe. I made friends. I saw most of the landmarks you can think of in Europe. In fact, a friend of mine in the UK took me to visit Shakespeare's house. Very old, nice house, grass-thatched. Really nice. We did a tour. They showed me where he slept. Nice bed, well-preserved. They showed me a desk and a chair where he used to sit and write stories. They showed me where he used to sit and have an evening cup of tea, a cup and a teapot, obviously empty. In Paris, the Eiffel Tower. Great metal engineering. Parisians love it. I think we all love it. The Champs-Élysées Street. Very proud for Parisians. I lived in Strasbourg. There's a cathedral there. Fantastic architecture. But, as an African, without telling my friends, of course, my European friends, I would say, is this it? Really? But that's Europe. Very well preserved. I come back to Africa, Uganda, in my 30s. I landed in Kampala. I came back with an international NGO. 4 days of induction in Kampala. I was given a brand new Land Rover. Went to Western Uganda. That's where I was sent. I drove to a place called Mashoro. It's a fishing village on Lake George. Lake George is part of the River Nile system. That was my first time, as city boy, to really live in a typical rural Africa or rural Uganda. In fact, my Land Rover, I would drive it through footpaths and actually create roads. It was the first car in this village. I spent 2 years there, and I made it my home. It was wonderful. For those who come from Lake District, you can relate to fish. Lake George had tribes of fish. We would eat fresh. But because of it was connected also to Queen Elizabeth National Park, the most visited park in Uganda. So we had the fish, we had wildlife, elephants, lions, tribes of hippos, schools of birds. It's a fantastic place. But, I was so excited and telling communities that this is wonderful. We are in heaven here. But everybody was looking at me and saying, perhaps the Zungus did something to this guy. They were carrying on their work. And for some reasons. I arrived during a dry season. So, on a lake, the clouds form a curtain, there's fog, you don't see far. It took me 4 months in this village to see something that really changed my life completely. The rain season came after 4 months. I was living in a hut. It rained a lot that night. Like in Migingo, we say it rained cat and dogs. I opened my door in the morning. As always, I looked out at the lake. The clouds are gone. The sky is clear. What I saw was unexplainable. Across the lake was the Rwenzori mountain. Its peak, naked with snow, is the third highest in Africa. I got so excited. I went crazy. I ran back into my hut. I picked the camera, came out, took number of photos. Those days, you could only take 24, 36. It was a film. I did my thing. Took a number of photos. The people around me were looking at me and said, what did he smoke last night? Because I was crazy. I couldn't believe that nobody else is excited as I was. But that moment, Nairobi, changed my life. It's something that linked me to something larger than me. That moment, that Rwenzori, that morning, I decided and got determined that what I saw that morning, I needed to protect it. I needed to do whatever I can so that my children, now Nziza and Izera, can come and see what I saw that morning. It did something else to me. I carry it all wherever I go. But also it formed something in my mind that determined the jobs I look for and the job I'm doing now. That moment determined the friends I'm to make in the future. It also determined the network I built, the proudness I have as an African. There's a little bit of arrogance on that too. Just because I'm an African and there are people who are not. Nairobi, we'll take being African for granted, or being Kenyan, for that matter, for granted. There are places in Africa that are only in Africa and the most beautiful place on the planet, period. That place Mashoro resonated to me when I arrived in Nairobi at the end of 2015, early 2016. I come to Nairobi, and there is this huge discussion. It was not about Wunga. There was this discussion about the future of Nairobi Park. Like 30 years ago, like in Mashoro, like those villagers, there were few Nairobians I heard participating in this discussion. Nairobi Wildlife Park is the only park found in a capital city in the entire world. Nairobi is the only city on planet that has a wildlife park. There comes a time, Nairobi. New York has skyscrapers. Times Square with lights. They have a few acres of Central Park. Stock exchange, they love it. New Yorkers love their city. Paris, the Eiffel Tower. Cape Town has the Table Mountains. Nairobi, you have the Wildlife Park. It's not about the rhinos. It's not about the giraffes. This park can as well determine who you are as a Nairobian. It's your heritage. It's something you can pass on to your children and be proud of. Rwenzori was my Africa. Nairobi Park could as well be your Africa. Nairobi, what is your Africa? Thank you.